It's late at night. The charts are still open on your screen. But your trading session closed hours ago, and you're still sitting there, going over the same trades you took today. Not because you're studying, because you cannot stop looking at what happened after you exited. You closed the trade at a small profit. The market then moved exactly where you said it would, exactly where your analysis pointed. You were right. But you made almost nothing. And now you're doing that calculation in your head. How much that trade would have been worth if you had just stayed in it. What that would have meant for your account this month, if only you had the nerve to hold. Then you close your chart. You tell yourself tomorrow will be different. But the brutal truth is that you will keep repeating the same destructive behavior until you understand what is actually happening inside you when that trade is live and your money is at risk. Because the problem is not your analysis. Your analysis is fine. The problem is not your strategy. The problem is something far more uncomfortable than that. The problem is that you cannot do the one thing that separates every profitable trader from every struggling one. And that one thing is the reason you are still not profitable. That one thing is the reason most traders, even the intelligent, dedicated, and hard-working traders, will never consistently make money in the financial markets. And here is what that thing is. It takes more than being right about the market direction to be consistently profitable. That is one of the most brutal truths I ever had to learn. And I learned it the hard way, over years of mistakes, blown accounts, and fortunes made and then lost. I have been right about the market more times than I can count. I have called turns correctly. I have read the tape correctly. I have positioned myself correctly. And I still lost money. Not because the market was against me. The market was never against me. I was against myself. Because though I had predicted the market direction correctly, I didn't have what it takes to hold the trade until it got to my target. Most traders spend all their time trying to get better at reading the market. They study more setups, they add more indicators, they watch more videos. And all of that is completely useless if you cannot solve the real problem. A trader must fight a lot of invisible enemies, because every single one of them lives inside him. Let's talk about the two major enemies that live inside every struggling trader. They are hope and fear. Now you might think, hope and fear? I know about those. But do you know what these two enemies actually do to you in real time? Here is what they do. They work backwards. When you are in a losing trade, a trade that is going against you, a trade that is draining your account, hope takes over. You hope it will comes back. You hope it will recovers. You sit there, frozen, watching red numbers grow, and you do nothing. Because hope told you to wait. And when you are in a winning trade, a trade that is going exactly where your analysis said it would go, a trade that is finally working the way it was supposed to, fear takes over. You fear losing what you have gained. You fear the market taking it back. And so you close the trade too early because fear told you to run. Think about what this means to your account over time. You hold your losers and you cut your winners. You let the bad trades breathe and you suffocate the good ones. And then you wonder why, no matter how often you are right about the direction of the market, you cannot seem to make consistent money. That is not a technical problem. That is a psychological problem. And until you look at it directly, without flinching, without making excuses, it will never change. Let's talk about another behavior that is quietly keeping so many traders unprofitable for too long. And that is the urge to always be engaged in every movement the market makes. As humans, it usually feels naturally unproductive to find ourselves in an environment where we just need to sit on our hands and watch without doing anything. We have been taught all our lives that more work or activities equals productivity. But in the financial market, that is the complete opposite. The traders who are consistently profitable understand that they don't have to engage in every movement of the market. Rather, they protect their capital until the market gives them a valid reason to engage. For several years, I was the kind of trader that always wanted to catch every single movement in the market, needing to feel like I was active, like I was working. The idea of sitting on my hands while the market moved felt like leaving money on the table. But here is what I discovered. That compulsive need to always be in a trade was one of the behaviors that kept me unprofitable for years. Because once the urge to be in a trade comes, I would be left with no other option than to force trades when there are no valid setups. No trader has a valid, high-probability setup available to him every single moment of the day. The desire for constant action, regardless of whether conditions support it, is responsible for more losses in this game than almost anything else. The market does not pay you for effort. It does not care how many hours you spend in front of your charts. It rewards patience. It rewards the discipline to wait for the conditions that favors your edge. Every single time in my career, when I had the patience to wait for the market to arrive at what I called a pivotal point before I entered, I made money. That doesn't mean I don't lose money even after doing everything right. What I am saying is that a good sample of trades executed with discipline and patience will most likely lead to profits. But every time I traded out of boredom, out of impatience, out of the feeling that I was missing something, I paid for it. The market is not going anywhere. The setups will come again. The only thing that disappears when you trade impulsively is your capital. Now I want to talk about something that most traders never do. And the ones who skip this step will always struggle. No matter how good their strategy is, you must know yourself. I do not mean that in a vague, motivational sense. I mean it literally and specifically. You must know exactly what you are capable of, especially when something of value is at stake. You must study your own psychological strengths and weaknesses the same way you study the market. Because every weakness you refuse to acknowledge, the market will find it, and it will charge you for it. Do you chase trades after you miss an entry? Do you revenge trade after a loss? Do you increase your position size when you are feeling confident and decrease it when you are feeling uncertain? All these behaviors are psychological weaknesses that are common in every human. And it is your duty, as a trader, to figure out which of them is holding you back. I spent years learning my own weaknesses, and every lesson cost me money. But knowing what I was capable of when real money was at stake was one of the most valuable education I ever received. Because once you know your enemy precisely, you can build a system around it. You can create rules that protect you from those destructive behaviors, and that is exactly what we are going to talk about now. I am going to explain the exact steps I took that changed everything. Step 1. Before you enter any trade, write down why you are entering, not in your head, on paper, or on your notepad. You can put it this way. I am entering this trade because this specific condition is present. If you cannot clearly articulate the reason, you are not trading a setup. You are trading a feeling. And trading your feelings is how you donate money to the market. Step 2. Define the trade before the trade begins. Where is your entry? Where is your stop? Where is your target? All three must be clearly present before you click the button. Here is what a clearly defined entry does for you. It stops you from chasing. You either get the price you planned for, or you don't take the trade. Simple. A clearly defined stop removes negotiation when the market hits the stop level. You are out. No hoping. No, let me just see one more candle. The decision is already made, and a clearly defined target gives your trade permission to breathe, because now you have an anchor. When the market pulls back slightly inside the trade, you don't panic and exit early. You already know where your exit point is, so you hold and let the trade play out. It either works or it doesn't. Taking a trade without having all three present. You are not trading a plan. You are trading your emotions in real time, and your emotions will always take the small profit and hold the loss. Every single time. Step 3. Separate the act of managing the trade from the act of watching the trade. This is where most traders fail after they enter. They sit and stare at every tick, and their emotions start attaching meaning to every candle, and those emotions force decisions that their plan never called for. Once you have entered a trade with a clear plan, your only job is to manage it at the levels you already defined, not to react to every fluctuation. The market takes its time. Give it the time it needs. Step 4. Create a rule for when you are allowed to move your stop. You are only allowed to move a stop in one direction, toward your entry, never away from it. Moving a stop further away from your entry to avoid being taken out is not risk management. It is hope management. And hope is not a strategy. Step 5. Keep a trading journal that focuses specifically on your emotional state, not just what you traded and whether you won or lost. Write down what you felt before the trade, during it, and after it. Over time, patterns will emerge. You will start to see exactly when your emotions are making your decisions. And that self-knowledge is worth more than any strategy you will ever find on the internet. If you consistently follow these steps for at least 3 to 6 months, this is what your trading career will look like. In the short term, it will feel slow. You will have days where you do not trade at all because no valid setup appears. And that will feel uncomfortable. It will feel like you are falling behind. It will feel unproductive. But your account will stop bleeding. And then something will start to shift. The trades you do take will be cleaner. Your losses will be smaller because they will be taken at the right time instead of held in hope. Your wins will be larger because you will have learned to let them breathe. After 6 months of this, you will look at your trading history and see something you have never seen before. A pattern of small, controlled losses and occasional large wins. That ratio of small loss to large gains is the engine that drives every trader who has ever made real, consistent money in the markets. After a year, discipline will stop feeling like a sacrifice. It will start feeling like an advantage, because you will have watched traders around you self-destruct in ways that you used to, and you will understand precisely why you no longer do. The market does not beat traders. Traders beat themselves. The only question is whether you are willing to stop.